go live, and then we'll do the thing. Here it is. Practicing. Here it is. We have learned a lesson from the last couple of weeks. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to wait until this thing goes live so it doesn't. I knew it.
Oh, good.
Is
So
it
I can get
me?
it going too. It's
Yeah.
not me.
Live. And
That
okay.
was me.
Is
No.
everybody muted? Are you muted? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Here we go. It's our official stuff. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Your Creative Journey. My name is Kevin Gregg.
I'm Paul Carganilla. Still.
This is the show that is designed to help you get your creative work done. Whether you're an actor, writer, singer, director, what else could you be, Paul?
Professional pusher, a rental boyfriend, professional stand-in liner, professional wedding guest,
Can
professional sleeper,
oh man.
vomit cleaner.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
gonna take
worst.
that next week.
Can I ask you that, Paul? What is a professional pusher?
Japan is indeed a hardworking nation. It makes sure that all its people reach work on time.
Sure.
And that's why Japan has employed people to push others onto trains so no one's late for work.
Yeah, there you go. You could be one of those people. Whatever it is that you do, we're grateful that you're joining us here on the show. We are here to help you inspire getting creativity into your work. We have wonderful guests that join us. As a matter of fact, joining us from Toronto, Canada, is a lovely and talented stage manager, Joey Lau. Hi, Joey. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about Joey. Joey is a multidisciplinary artist. She's residing in Toronto, Canada. She currently serves as artistic and general administrator at Tapestry Opera. After receiving her BFA in theater production from Ryerson University, Joey's work varied in stage magic, scenic art, performing arts education, theater administration. She's something else. I have worked with her on some projects recently, and it's been awesome to work with her. And I thought she'd be a perfect guest for the show. The question that we always ask, and if you're joining us on YouTube, we want to say hi to our good folks that are over there as well. We will have some announcements towards the end of the show, which we've been talking about. Hi, Meryl. Good to see you. Hi, Angelica. Hi, Karen. Good evening. Glad to have you with us.
Yes.
The one question that we ask every show, Joey, what was the best thing that happened to you this last week?
Well, we rang in the New Year's. So that's one of the great things. I mean, how can you pick one? We just had like this entire holiday season. So I'm still on this like holiday high.
We were just talking about it before the show, which is, and Paul is very familiar with this, but it's when you are a creative, you're so used to always working on New Year's Eve, right? Because Paul, you just had some stuff that was going on with Audacity Network, right? Did you guys just do your thing on New Year's Eve? Was that when you did it or no?
We did it New Year's Day.
Okay.
But the whole week leading up to that was just screenwriting.
Can you please share with this really quick, and then we'll come back to Joey in a second. Share with this what this experience was that you had this last week, Paul, because Joey will get a kick out of this.
My wife challenged me to write a Hallmark movie in a week. So the way we did it was on the live show that we had the day before Christmas Eve. We did basically a Mad Libs line from a hat, and we picked out story points, quotations, locations, and then I had 7 or 8 days to put together a screenplay that would be all read on the first. It was already planned. The cast was in place. We had actors lined up. And so that was the deadline. I had to get it done by 7 p.m. on the first of the year. And that was a crazy experience, but it was fun.
And people can watch the replay of it now, correct?
The reading of the draft. Yeah. And it was great cast, great crew. It was a lot of fun.
How do you feel it went, Paul? Like, or when you take a look back where you're just like, okay, I did it, or
yeah, there were several points throughout the week where I didn't think I would get it done. And I pushed through and I got it done. And I actually really like the story that came out of it. And I'm very excited now to do some rewrites and develop it and make it stronger, but not under crazy stress.
I know. Well, that's a funny thing, right? That happens around the holidays, like especially when you're working creative stuff. Like I was so used to working so many New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas or Christmas Eves, And Joey, it was a little bit for you, right? This was a little bit of a change up for you these last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what's a weekend normally? So I had the last 2 weeks off, and I actually did not take on more work and relaxed, and it was excellent.
Strange, right? Isn't it? Well, Joey and I actually worked together again with this company, Knowledge Hook. We've had several of the people that I've worked with at that company out of Canada, but that's where Joey and I started working and meeting. And Joey, we were just talking before the show, like you had crazy schedules while you were working with Knowledge Hook on some of your projects. Share with the audience what those days were like for you.
Oh, like a typical overlapping day
Sure.
would be, well, Knowledge was very, very kind to me. They let me take on a lot of passion projects on top of the work I was doing for them. So a typical day for me would, do my Knowledge Hook work at home remotely. Or sometimes I would bring that work to rehearsal halls with like to do at the same time. And a lot of times when you're apprenticing as a stage manager, it's a lot of just observing. So I would sit there, try to observe the room, and then, hey Kevin, so about this project we're doing at Knowledge Hook, right? That was very typical. And then, or sometimes I would do a full day at home with Knowledge Hook, and then after work hours, go for like a tech. And then weekends were filled with shows and rehearsals and teching as well. So
it's so much that, right? Like in the creative process, it's just like go, 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 go sometimes, It's like, trying to come up for, that's something that I'm trying to learn in my life is to go, how do I build in that balance? I think that that's something I would really like to change, like a whole bunch, to just go, great. I mean, I know that they had it for years with, listen, if you are listening to this either live or if you're listening to this on a replay or something, and you happen to work in the UK, because I know the UK has very strict, some production guidelines where they go, nope, this is it. This is what our maximum day is. And that's it. Actually, there were stories about George Lucas when he was working on Star Wars. He come in with sort of an American mindset of like, well, great, we're going to do our crews, and our crews are going to work, 12 to 16 hour days. And those guys were like, nope, that's it. It's a 10-hour day. Like, that's it. When it's dinner, he would have to do things like he would have to like beg his entire crew if he could get an extra 45 minutes in the UK, because they were very, very specific, which I can admire, which is, crazy. So Joey, tell us about this. How did you get, what has been the interesting thing why I wanted to have you on is, we've had several guests that have come onto the show that they're in different stages of their career. Joey's more in the beginning season of her career, right? Like this is a woman that like got involved in this, and now she's actually in the trenches and doing this work. And I thought it'd be very interesting for Joey to come on, because for those people that are younger and just starting out in their career, they're kind of going, how do I do this? What is this? How do I fall into this stuff? So Joey, share a little bit of this. How the heck did you get involved in the performing arts? And did you know that it was going to be like live production? What happened there?
Well, it goes way back. My first dabble at anything performing arts was 4th grade. My parents had made me audition for a children's choir.
Oh, they made you, right? I had this too.
Who at 10 years old, who sits there and thinks I'm going to audition for a choir today? Right?
Yeah, Paul, did you have that too or no?
No, I'm saying, why is that so weird? And then she said that, and I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, what kid would be like, I would like to go to choir now?
My dad did the same thing. We had a choir that was down at St. Ambrose, and I remember him saying, you kids are going to be a part of that. And going, Dad, please. I remember crying and just going, please don't. I don't want to do it, And I went, I'm sure he's sorry about that decision now.
I'm sure my parents are too.
No, but it's a good thing. I'm glad that you're like this is the thing we've talked about too on the show, why it's so important with the performing arts and education, where it's like, yeah, kids should learn that they, getting up and singing and what that's like, So you got forced. So your parents forced you into the choir, right? Your parents are watching this going, what?
Okay. I think maybe force is an extreme word, but it definitely wasn't like initiated by me. It was not something I decided I wanted to do. It was something like, hey, you're going to do this. So I did. I got into that choir. That was 4th grade. By 6th grade, I decided that I was too good for the ensemble. So I auditioned for a speaking role, right? And that was my first ever casted speaking role in that children's choir. And then every year there were productions, like musical productions. And that's how I got involved with musicals. And then so very naturally, I went on to high school. I took part in every drama course the school had to offer. And then by like 10th grade, I was also involved with like competitive vocal jazz. And then by 11th grade, I started dabbling into the production sides of things. So I was trained as a classical pianist. And then starting then, I started looking into music direction, like in high school. Yeah. And so I started doing that. By 12th grade, I was co-president of the drama council with one of my best friends. So it was a very early realization of this is what I'm going to do with my life, right? So that was all high school.
Now I need to ask you this. Was it very much, was your household very musical, or was it also the same idea of like going, hey, listen, we want to make a well-rounded student, right? And so also music is a very important part of this aspect as well. Or was it a very musical household? Was it a very theatrical household that you grew up in?
Musical, I would say yes. Theatrical, probably not. Musical, I was taught piano by my grandmother, and my dad himself also played piano. So I would say yes. We just all learned piano growing up. I would say that one's a little more forced than the choir, to be honest.
Right.
What age did you start playing piano?
4.
Well, 4.
Yeah. 4 to 12th grade.
And competitions and everything, right?
No, not so much competitions. I did like my exams with the Royal Conservatory of Music. So I did the levels and stuff like that. But I never got to the point where I was like competitive about it.
What was your hardest piece that you ever performed?
All of them. All of them when you don't want to be practicing for them, right?
How many, listen, I want to say this because it's the beginning of the years we're recording this, right? It's the beginning of 2022. And there's a lot of people like going, oh, I want to play piano. I'd like to do that. That'd be fun. Okay. How much time does it take to really because I've done a little bit of piano and I've gotten, rusty over the years. I started playing at 7 and really didn't practice. How many hours a day would you practice piano, Joey?
I mean, they would hope I'd practice for an hour.
Yeah.
Whether I actually did that was another thing. And then it was another story when it was close to exams, right? So
you just go. Paul, a lot of rehearsal for you because you play your different instruments, right?
Yeah. And growing up, I started in band in 6th grade, but I didn't start that young. I was just curious because my daughter Everly started when she was 4 too. So I was like, okay. And she's the same way. She's not learning to like compete or anything. She's just learning to learn it and she loves it.
That's crazy. Yeah. Is she reading music? Is Everly reading music right now?
Yeah. She's on Furelise now, which is fun to hear in the house. Sure. And she just learned Auld Lang Syne. So she played Auld Lang Syne at 9 p.m. the other evening. So that was fun.
Amazing stuff. So you get through all your musical stuff and then you're realizing you start getting in the production stuff in high school. Were you working on shows in high school then on the production side or no?
Yes. So starting around like 11th grade, I dabbled into music direction. Mm-hmm. And then I naturally went a production route for my university career.
That's interesting. Where did you and remind us again where you went to school?
I went to Ryerson University here in Toronto.
Okay. So wow, so now how was that accepted by your parents, by your family, by the fact that like you're saying, hey, I'm going to go into this as a career?
No, it was very well accepted. I think, I'd received a lot of support in what I wanted to do. It was just very obviously what I was good at and what I wasn't. I would be like getting like 50s in math, but then with like drama and production class, easily like 99, 100, it was a very obvious choice that I was only good at like that one thing.
it's something to be said, right? I'm such a huge advocate of this, of it'd be really interesting. A whole bunch of teachers now gonna like just go, what is he saying? He's out of his mind. But that idea of really honing in on the things that kids or students really show the proficiency and the focus on. Of course, I could say that. Next thing you know, I've got 100 kids lined up to just do Minecraft. I want to play Minecraft, but that thing that they truly have, where it's a skill, where it's focused, and where they have sort of a drive. I love this idea of, we talked about it a couple of months ago with was Jeff Watts, or the painter that was on there, talking about craftsmanship and apprenticeship and workmanship, and just, boy, it would be something else if people were out there saying, hey kid, you're showing this skill and this focus on this thing, and you definitely are developing your craft. Let's keep honing this and let's see where it goes from that. And that's not to discredit the others. I'm also a huge proponent of classical education, where you are getting well-rounded in those other aspects. That I think that there is a purpose to that, with math, science, social studies, history, all of that stuff that we need. But boy, it'd be something else if we could really start that idea of like, hey kid, you're showing proficiency in this. Let's really help you craft this so that you can be a master person in this. Not to just with the fact that you can do it, but we ultimately want you to get to a place where you can thrive in this and make a decent living and share your skills and have this grow.
Well, it's a delicate balance too, because then you don't want to turn into Whiplash,
No.
the movie, and just like make somebody resent the craft or whatever. But hopefully, at least it would help them if they don't find true passion in what you're forcing them to focus on. Would show them that discipline is required to really hone a skill. And if you decide what you're passionate about and what you want your career focus to be, you've got that work ethic.
Yes. I think that's a key, isn't it? I mean, Joey, and I know that you have this built in your very bones, right? Because it truly is, that work ethic is such a huge component of it. I think that we live in a culture and a society that just is like, I just want to be happy. I just want to do stuff that's fun. Can't this be fun all the time? It's like, well, yeah, that's sort of the reward that comes with it. But also part of that fun comes through the accomplishment and the focus, and sometimes the sweat and bullets and trying to problem solve while you're doing it. I'm sure you experienced a lot of this along your path. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
What were some of your toughest lessons that you think that you learned in the early stages of your training? And by the way, before we get to that too, I saw a couple of people that we got to say hi. Guess who's here? Amanda Chan from the UK. She's saying hi.
That's my best friend. It's 4 a.m. for her.
Well,
she's tuning in.
get the tea on the boil, as they would say. Amanda just said this. I would say that my household was not musical, but I was put into music lessons because parents wanted us to be well-rounded. Maybe that's why the interest ended when I went off to college, Totally get that. Yeah, totally get that. Anyway. Hi, Naomi. Good to have you here. Naomi S says that she's excited to hear about Joey's story. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. You got a couple of your friends on here saying
that. Another one of my great cheerleaders.
Yeah, man. You got some people in your corner. So what were some of these lessons that you learned early about sort of like the hard work, the focus, the problem solving? What were some of those early lessons for you?
I definitely learned that this industry is not for the weak, right? Both physically and mentally, right? Definitely not for the weak. Like one of the biggest shows I just worked on the past year was all outdoors, because we were still, under this pandemic, and it would either be 40 degrees out, or like Celsius, or like pouring hail. And so if you're not up for that, right, like you probably won't stick it through, right?
Wait. So what was the show? What was the show? Were they doing these performances in this weather?
Yes. So rehearsals and performances. So it was an outdoor amphitheater, because at this time during the past summer, our government did not reopen theaters for for shows. So it was an outdoor amphitheater. Everyone was spaced out. And then at the same time, we had to host all the rehearsals outside because we still weren't at a place where people were fully vaccinated. We weren't in a place where like we could all gather indoors. So in order to fit like cast and crew, we had rehearsals outside. And then the best we got were these like tarps and these tents, but it was still some very intense weather. So that's why I say both physical and mental like strength is necessary.
Wow. What was the show, by the way? What was the name of the show?
The show was called Blackout. It was a 3-part story based on the huge blackout we had in Toronto in 2003. So it was a new Canadian musical that I got to take part of.
Wow, look at that. So some pretty big lessons when you when you were dealing with that, right?
Sounds fun though.
She's like, that's one way to put it. Like looking back, like definitely like great experience. But in that moment, you're like, what did I get myself into? And I'm sure every single creative has felt that.
I remember, I'm going to tell you, I remember, Paul, I know you have to have one of these moments, but I will tell you when I remember this specifically. I remember I was back in college and we were working on the sign in Sidney Brewstein's window. This is a Lorena Hansberry production show. And it was like we were doing it unedited. It was probably about a 3-hour play. And I remember we were getting ready to do it. And I remember looking around the side and I knew that there was more cast than there were audience members for what we were going to do. And, listen, we had some, I will admit this in hindsight, we had some good performers in the show and some not great performers in the show. And there were parts of that show that felt just like this is taking forever. Right. And I remember because we had rehearsed, you know how it is in college and high school, right? You rehearse, and then you do it 2 weekends and then that's it. Right. I remember looking around that corner and I just thought there was like 4 people in the audience. There's 4 people in the audience and there's 11 people in the show. And I just thought, why do we do all this? It's this moment of just like going, why did we do all this? But you kind of get through it and you just go, all right, let's perform, Paul, you ever had those moments where you just go, what am I doing?
Yeah. And it's like, it's tough because everybody's different, but I would perform even like as 110%, no matter who's in the audience. Sure. And I think most performers would, but I definitely worked with people. I remember specifically in college, I did a production of Brigadoon. I was the lead Tommy. And then there's the old character who like explains the story, like past the midpoint while everybody's like already tired. And all he does is backstory. And the actor that was cast in that role was so bitter that he got that role. He would just F with the show.
Wow.
And go as slowly as he could.
Why?
And so one production we had, the audience was probably like, I don't know, 20% full. And he just decided this is it for us. Like the whole thing just went off the cliff. But I remember specifically during the performance watching him and thinking, yeah, we put a lot, everybody put a lot of work into this, and you're ruining it for us and you're ruining it for the audience. And like it's one thing to be disrespectful to like, I don't know, someone that you're upset with, but to disrespect not only like the show, but everyone who put their blood, sweat and tears into it. It's just like, wow, how can you do that? And not to say Joey has ever disrespected any show that she was on. We were just talking about bad experiences with shows, but yeah.
It's weird. This is a career pursuit and calling that it really is, man. You really got to address it. If you're at that point, I remember the first time I ever walked onto a set, I was trying to get I think I was either trying to get my SAG card or maybe I had my SAG card. I was just trying to get some extra money. And I remember I went onto a set as an extra, and Paul, have you done extra work? You've done extra work. Yes, you've done extra work. I remember I was down at it was an NBC show or something. It was one of these alien NBC shows. And I thought, oh, cool. I get to be on Peter Dinklage was on the show. So was Brent Spiner. I forget what the name of the show was, but I showed up and I thought, oh, that's cool. I'll kind of be there. And I remember this one gal came around the corner and she just had a smile on her face. And she said, I just hate this business so effing much. She just she was one of the extras. And I just thought, oh, you need to go. Like, this is killing you. This is killing you, right? It's not worth the paycheck and it's not worth the insurance, right? You can figure something else out. Honestly, please don't put yourself through this unless you're getting something out of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that we could inspire all those people that are listening to this show.
This show is us pushing people like we're on a platform in Japan, just shoving people into the passion.
Well,
into the work.
But it is that, right, Joey? Because I mean, I'm sure like if somebody came up to you and was like going, guys, and this is the thing that I've always prided myself on with this show, is that we've always approached this show is to go, hey, this is to take a look behind the scenes, right? Because I think that there's a lot of people that come up and just think, this is amazing. This is great. I want to be a part of this. And it is the opportunity to pull the curtain back and go, yes, it can be amazing. There's such great rewards, but here's the other side that happens with it, right? This is part of this. So we also want to show you what this part of it is so that you are aware of that, So I'm sure a lot of this stuff for you, Joey, has been, what do you think are the things that you have, what are the things that you have grown, have developed the most or have strengthened the most or have learned the most as you've been starting out?
I most definitely think having determination and perseverance to carry out the harder parts of a production. I think going to theater school itself taught me a lot of that. Because if you didn't persevere through that, if you weren't determined to finish that degree, it was just very easy for you to let go.
This is very similar because Paul, Elizabeth Richardson, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, Elizabeth and Joey and I all work together. And it seems that this is, maybe I'm making a big presumption here, but this seems to be part of what happens in some of the Canadian schools that are up there, at least in the Canadian art schools, where it seems like, hey, you want to do this? Okay, let's play ball. What were some of the harder lessons that you had during your schooling?
Well, I would say you're right, Kevin. That theater schools in particular here are kind of like a filtering system, for the industry. It almost it's like if you survive theater school, then you could probably make it into the industry. But if not, then maybe something else is better for you. So some of the harder lessons were definitely entering theater school, actually, from high school where your hand is being held all the time, to being thrown in this setting where, especially when you go to a theater program where it's not just academic, right? There's a very practical aspect to it as well. So having to find that balance between school, your academic work, your classes, your courses, and then working on these productions as if they were your full-time job, and then also trying to balance your personal life and everything. So I think that first year was the hardest thing I had to face in school.
How did you get through part of that? I'm sure, were there moments where you just went, I want to get out of here? Or did you have any breaking points for you? And what was the thing that kept you going through it?
Well, so I did and I didn't. That first semester actually ended up with me dropping out of the program for a year and a half to do what you could call some soul searching. I didn't drop out. I just did not enroll myself into those theater courses anymore. And in that time, I started, looking for other paths even. I was like, should I do something that's a little more broad and less specific? Do I do something do I just finish a degree? Did
this happen can I ask you, did this happen after you went through the first semester? After you went through the first semester, you said, hold on, just going to focus on the academic courses right now. Really? So this is fascinating to me. I'm really fascinated by this because for a couple of reasons. I almost wish that American schools would follow the same thing that your Canadian schools went through, because honestly, no offense to anybody that's out there, you can write us a letter, send in the mailbag. I'm not giving them my address though. But honestly, I think that there's a lot of schools that are out here. I mean, you get into some of the heavy hitter ones, but there's a lot of colleges, universities that just kind of go, oh yeah, join our theater program. It's great. We'll take anybody. It's almost like they want to keep you in the system, because the longer you keep in the system, what does that mean? More tuition for the school, more stuff. Oh, what? It takes you 7 years to finish your degree? Not a problem. Hang out, Whereas on the other side, it's like, no. You want to get in here? It's cage match to get in here. What was the thing that happened in that first semester that caused you to go, oh, I'm going to back off?
Well, it was that transition, really, like me moving from the suburbs to the city. And then I remember my second day of university looking like a full course load, like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was in my courses. And then from 6 p.m. to midnight, I was thrown into like a show call, right? And that that was just like very overwhelming, as you can imagine. So after a semester of that, I put the program aside for a second. I was like, I'm going to need to do some soul searching, see if this is really what I'm called to do in life. And in that year and a half off from my program, I went and I, finished my acting and dance minor. I even did a business minor just to see what it was that like I was called to do. Eventually, I did decide to return to the program, but I knew.
Hold on, we'll get her back. We will get you back. Hold on, Joey. Hold on. We'll get you back. Hold on. You phased for just 1 second. I knew it. This means that this is a really important part of the conversation when it just, and she's back. Okay. So where you froze was, where'd she freeze, Paul? She was just about to say, listen, you were talking about like you had just done the business minor, you done the business minor, you done the acting minor, and then finish that last thought.
Okay. Yeah. So I in that time off, I did a lot of the academic things, finished the 2 minors that I thought were broad enough to take with me to potentially a different program if I had to transfer to a different program. But ultimately, I decided to go back into my own program, but I would have to do this at my own pace. Like I was not going to follow, the traditional course load for the program. I had to do it my own way. I had to make sure that I had my academics sorted out, but at the same time that when I did take on the more practical aspect of the program, that mentally I was balanced between, the course load and the show calls.
Was there any pushback that you received from the program? Because I mean, on the theater production side of it, because it would seem like, oh, hey, okay, you're in here and we get it. We know that you're finishing up your stuff, but was it a little bit like starting from scratch when you had to pick it up again a year and a half later?
Yes and no. I think so I was welcomed back with pretty open arms. I would say the chair of the production program at the time was such a warm professor that just welcomed me back with open arms and kind of like helped me ease my way back in. The only thing that felt weird was suddenly I was in classes with like students like younger than me. Like sure. that was the kind of what felt like I was starting from scratch again. But yes, some courses did have to be repeated. But this time, like, a year and a half later, I came back with more maturity. And so, awesome. And even more, I felt more ownership towards the courses that like I had to repeat.
That's amazing, man. It's really, I'm glad that worked out for you, because it can just be like, I think we all need to go through moments like that. And we will continue to go through moments like that, where we just like go, what am I doing? Like, what the heck is going on? And Joey, I hate to tell you this, you're talking to 2 guys that continue to go through this on a regular basis, right? Of like going, what am I doing? Hold on a second, man. I gotta stop for a second, shake my head and go, all right, clear head. Let's go back in. Thank you, God.
Well, and good for you for like letting yourself admit to yourself that you wanted to do it again, and like had the courage to step up to the plate and take another swing. A lot of people will just be like, well, it didn't work out, and I like the pride or whatever keeps them from going back. But you found the strength to say, hey, this is what I want. I'm ready now, and I'm gonna get it. And so that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the bigger the setback, the bigger the comeback, right?
Oh, I like that. The bigger the setback, the bigger the comeback. We got our quote for the show, everybody. The bigger the setback, the bigger the comeback.
But Kevin, you didn't say, whoa, wait. Say that again. Hang on. Say that.
He says that a lot.
Say that part again.
Uh-oh. There's a speech pattern that's going on here, right? So Joey, talk about this transition from going into school and now starting to get into the professional world, because I know that you're several years into this right now and just trying to figure that out. How has this been for you as you've been making this transition of going, okay, well, there's school. Great. I'm glad that I'm in school and we have these things I get to be a part of, but now I have to make this transition into finding work and getting people to hire me. How has that gone for you?
Well, definitely not easy. I don't think it's ever going to be easy for anyone starting out, right? So lucky for me, my starting out was also when we were introduced to the pandemic, really. So that obviously made me lose some contracts. It also closed some like touring opportunities for me because we're not allowed to travel anymore suddenly, right? So, but when those doors closed, I came across this apprenticeship with a Canadian musical theater company here called The Musical Stage, and they have a really great apprenticeship program, and that's where I applied to be their apprentice stage manager. And I was very fortunate enough to be selected to be part of that apprenticeship. And in there, I received a lot of mentoring. So I had a lot of industry professionals come in and just mentor me one-on-one, or so my focus was stage management, right? So I got to meet with, stage managers that focus on plays, one that focused on opera, another one that focused on dance. So in that sense, I got some master classes and, gained more mentorship that way. And I think it was a very great networking opportunity for me as well. And so through that apprenticeship, it brought me to my first two equity credits that we have to work towards to join the union. And yeah, I think that was how it got started. It wasn't like it just happened, the day after I graduated, especially with the pandemic in place, right? So it was like a lot of searching for sure, but to finally get into the groove was to get your foot into that first apprenticeship credit. And I think that's ultimately what did it for me.
That's amazing. And so also while doing this, while you're also looking for other work, that's also getting you to pay the bills, and what are other things that kind of help to make the ends meet, right? That's a really challenging thing. I think that's such a, if you were younger, here we go. Here comes old man Kevin, and then old man Paul.
Here he comes.
Then old man Paul will fall out. Paul, this is something that I've experienced over the years, and you and I have experienced this firsthand from working down at Disney. It was always amazing to me. I was always one of these guys. I know that you were always one of these guys. It was always amazing to me whenever I would be in an opportunity, and especially as we worked down at Disneyland. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, Paul and I worked at the Disneyland Resort for years doing performance, and then eventually I would do direction, creative consulting, all that stuff. But there used to be pockets of time as a performer where you would have huge swaths of time that were available to you. And I would just see so many people squander those swaths of time where it would be like, oh, we're going to watch shows or just kind of read the paper. Or eventually, as it started moving into everybody on their smartphones playing Candy Crush or Angry Birds or whatever. And you just go, oh my gosh, you basically you're getting paid, and you have this opportunity where you've got this stuff that's in front of you and stuff that's available. And there's so many things. I'm currently right now, I've been studying a program that's really about getting super focused and really trying to cut out things like digital addiction. Because boy, there's so much stuff that is trying to clamor for our time and our attention. And it can all seem so important, right? Like we get the push notifications, all that other stuff that's out there, but getting so honed and focused. And especially if you are young and starting out your career, and I get it, you may be paying the bills, but if you kind of have the opportunity between working on your craft or maybe going out to the bar and having a few drinks for the night, maybe try to spend the time on the craft. I'm not saying that you don't have fun and all that stuff, but man, that's one thing. I feel like I've been pretty good at it in my life. But I would just say that is one thing that I've observed time and time again with younger people that I've met in the industry, that you kind of think that you've got all the time in the world. And it's like, you kind of don't, because you blink and suddenly 10 years have passed. And next thing you know, they're looking at other people that are younger than you. And you're just kind of going, what happened? Right. And I don't know, old man Paul, I'm going to get out of the way and let you add a few words of wisdom.
No, that's good. I think it's all about the balance, like we talk about so often, and finding ways to perfect that balance in your life. And if there's a lot of stuff you have to work on, but you also want to play, find the best chunks of time to work in and the best chunks of time to play in. If you here's something that you just kind of brought up that I found out about last night is I was in a Zoom meeting. One of my friends always has a New Year's Eve party, and she couldn't do it this year, and she did it last night. So we all counted down to midnight last night on Zoom. It was a lot of fun. But something somebody mentioned that I didn't know existed was you can set timers in your phone to tell you like how much time you've been on your phone.
Yes.
And to set a thing and say you're done for the day, you're done. You can set something like that.
Yes.
Or you can also
they're app killers. They are, man. It's just like you go, that's it.
They say if you like you mentioned, just turn off all your notifications for anything that's not like vital to your life.
Yep.
That'll also help you stay off your phone. But it's all about just finding a way to keep your work, passion, family time balanced. And a lot of that is, being smart about it.
Yeah. It's trying to find those opportunities. I think it is a fine line, isn't it? Because you don't want to be riding this anxiety wave all the time of like, oh, am I going to miss my opportunity? Oh my gosh, should I do this? Because all of a sudden you end up burning out and you end up not living your life at the same time. I don't know, Joey, how has this been for you? Are you finding that? Because listen, you're a pretty driven woman, right? Do you are you finding those pockets for yourself where you're able to enjoy your life?
I'm definitely learning to do that more, and that's kind of why I took I've recently took a new interest in producing, because that's when you're in the power to like set people up for success or failure. I'm very fortunate right now. I'm at a company where they realize we're not surgeons, we're not doing heart surgery, our work is not do or die. Right? Brother,
so important. Seriously.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I decided to be with this company to begin with, because I see that they're recognizing that balance is so necessary, and that so if we don't open a show tomorrow, if we're not ready, nobody's gonna die. Right? And took a good realization to that for me, and that's why I'm I need to do something different for the industry. If I'm a producer of the show, I have that power to say, no, we're not doing 10 out of 12 days. we'll do a standard 8 hours so people can go home to their families. People can get off get off work and have dinner with their friends. Like I think that's so important.
Wow, I absolutely agree with you. It's huge. The big thing though, I used to run into a lot at Disney, people with like a couple of pagers, different phones, all this stuff. And it's exactly that. Like going, guys, you're not brain surgeons, right? Like no one is seriously, no
You
one
guys
is
are
legit.
killing my fantasy though. You know why I've shared this with Kevin. The reason I got into stage management, I was 8th grade in the Disney parks, looked back during a performance of the Festival of the Lion King, and there's the stage manager being the boss.
Yes.
Right. And then and then I think this was I was a little older by the time. It was Frozen. That was the next show I saw at the theme park. And it was just, I felt so liberating to see like the stage manager yelling go and all these foam snow just falling. Right. But then you guys are just saying that it's
Listen, you
my
can
fantasy.
do this. I'm not saying that you can't do that you can't be that. We're just telling you to balance it out, sister.
Also, I have to say, as if it's not obvious enough, there's a huge difference in being a performer at a Disney park and being a stage manager at a Disney park.
Oh my gosh.
And I know a lot of stage managers. A lot of my friends are stage managers at Disney, and they love their job. And that is something, if you're a stage manager, I think you should aspire to. And of course, if you're a performer, yeah, you should work at Disney at some point in your career, if you want to. But like, I think there's a huge difference in just, I'm not saying the Disney parks treat their performers badly. I'm just saying, like, it's a whole different beast being a performer at Disney and being a stage manager or behind the stage, any sort of technician or anybody that works in entertainment that's not a performer.
I will say this. I'm going to say this from what I've seen. Because I really do admire stage managers. I'm going to speak for people that I've seen work their tails off. And I say this with so much gratitude for the opportunities I've had and continue to have or whatever. I've seen really good people work themselves to the bone, and people that are just like, they're so, and maybe it's part of the makeup, right? Maybe it's part of the makeup of who they are, but I've seen people that really thrown their lives into those shows and really serve up their best. And I guess it's sort of a cautionary tale of like going, be careful, be cautious, right? It's like you can absolutely do it, but you have to have a strong network of people that are around you. Also, those people that really love you, that are able to go, hey, you got to pull up. Hey, you can't, right? I've seen people that have just thrown their lives and everything into those shows and into that stuff. And it can take a toll, right? It can.
But also realize nobody's going to die.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you, Joey.
Have we scared you or comforted you enough? I don't even know which one. Speaking of kind of scary, but kind of exhilarating at the same time. So Joey's working at the Tapestry Opera right now. Now, unfortunately, they just had up in Canada, they just went into another round of lockdowns that are going on. So there's a performance that was just about to launch, but it didn't get to launch. I'm going to show some people what this thing is. Joey, please explain to the people what the heck they are looking at for this show. What is the name of this show that you are working on?
Well, my company is producing this show called Gold Wall. And it's quite literally, if you look at the images that Kevin's showing, a person climbing a wall. But she's not just climbing a wall, she's singing opera while climbing this wall. I don't want to give the story away or anything because we unfortunately could not open yet. But you see these windows that are on this wall. She greets different characters and has some singing dialogue with them while on this wall for the full duration of the show.
It is literally a rock. It's kind of a rock climbing It's like a rock climbing opera. It's, it's like literally she's like climbing and she's an aerialist while she's also singing opera. What do you think about that?
Crazy. At some point, does somebody open a window and hand her some freshly baked rolls and make it a rock and roll opera?
Oh no.
Should I see
You
myself
just
out?
went dad joke on that. You went he left.
Oh God.
He left. Come back, Paul. Thank you. I was waiting for that. I was waiting. There it is. There it is. That's what I was waiting for. Paul, you can come back now. You can come back. Oh my gosh. That was so funny.
That was really bad. No.
Yes. So pretty cool. I'm sorry that the show got postponed, Joey.
Yeah.
But still it's still a darn exciting thing. Hey, and let's do this as well, because I do want to mention this. Joey, you and I have had personal conversations where we've talked about sort of we talked about the producing stuff. Could you, I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm going to put you on the spot because I think it's an important thing to say this stuff and to get this out into the world. What's one of the things that you're sort of passionate about with hopefully trying to produce sometime in the near future? This deals with people or performers that may have special challenges. We've talked about this in the past. Yes.
Yeah, like a big vision I have for my career down the road, once I've have all this experience under my belt, is to create theatrical or performing arts programs for neurodiversity. I think that's something we don't see enough of. Like, I think both on and off stage, I would love to see more neurodiversion. That means, people of special needs or even physical needs, right? Like, I think performing arts is such a healing space. Well, for myself at least, and I think for you too as well. But I think the more of these specialized programs we have for people of neurodiversion, the bigger, the smaller the gap gets between those who we are considered average and those of a different neural level, right?
What's your call for that, Joey? We never had a chance to talk about that. What's the thing that sparked you with that idea?
It was the opportunity that I got to music direct, actually in 11th grade. The teacher who was in charge of the special needs program came to my drama teacher and asked for a couple students to go and help produce a production of Aladdin for this special needs class. And it was just such a different experience because it was a production where you're not just focused on making things perfect, a production where the show does not have to go on. We can pause and fix things and then continue. But that it was also one of the more rewarding productions I've ever worked on, because it was a show full of mistakes. I think there were more mistakes than dialogue. But it was the audience, it was the parents sitting there that was beaming. And then that's when I realized that it's performing arts or drama, improv, whatever it is, whether it's just dancing, it's just a very healing space, a very good method of healing for many people. And it's great to start seeing a lot more diverse actors on stage or on the screen, but I think that should be implemented backstage as well.
Yeah, I love that. From your mouth to God's ears. And I wanted you to say that on here because honestly, I think that there's such a need for it. And Joey, please have that be a part of your career. That would be just absolutely amazing. Joey, anything that you can point people towards? Is there any place that people can find you or anything like that, or that you want to point people towards with you on social media, or does that even matter? Or what shows? I guess I'm giving you your commercial right now.
Well, my public art account is just my name, Joey Lau Art. You could probably also find a little information about me on the musical stage company, past Apprentice, their page. You could probably find information about me on Tapestry Opera as well. But that's about it in terms of a plug for myself. But thank you for the airtime, Kevin.
You're welcome. And just, I guess, one last question for you. What would be a word of advice that you'd be giving to young man or woman that's trying to go this path, that says, you know what, I think I want to do this? What would you tell them?
I would say just own your path. Like, you don't need to compare it to anybody else's path. Like, you don't have to compare like how young this person accomplished something and how long it's taking you. Like, it's yours. So take ownership of that, and tune out the negative voices. You just don't need them.
I love that, man. Smart, excellent words of wisdom. That's all I can say. Joey Lau, thank you for being on the show. You are a rock star. Pleasure's mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joey.
Amazing. Thanks to all of the people that are here, that were watching the show here tonight. Craig Jackman back in the house. God bless you, buddy. So good to see you. So good to see you. Hey, if you like this show tonight, could you do us a favor? Could you, at the very least, hit the like and subscribe button, and then also share this with somebody else that might learn from the wisdom that we heard from Joey tonight. We're getting towards a very special thing. We're kind of announcing it just now. We're kind of down to our last few shows on this. You may not, your creative journey is I said this to Paul. I said, Paul, your creative journey is coming to an end. He went, oh, that sounds so sad. Yeah. It sounds like my no, your creative
journey is over.
There's some Paul's creative journey, my creative journey, Joey's creative journey, the people that are listening on here, your personal creative journey is continuing on. The show is coming to an end in a few weeks. We have one more interview next week, and then we're going to have a final closeout show that's going to be, we're going to be doing it live on February 1st with more details with that. But in the meantime, this stuff is still available. And you can actually, and these shows that we've recorded aren't going away. They're going to be staying here because we've had so many incredible guests over the last year and a half, right? So what's one way that people can help the show so they can continue to find the show even in the future after we stop recording new ones, Paul?
A positive review. However you digest and consume, or I said that backwards, consume or digest podcasts, whatever platform that's on, if you can give us a positive rating, leave us a review. It'll help people who like things like this find things like this and this thing.
Amen. That is not going anywhere. That's going to be around. And believe me, we've got hours and hours of content that's here, including finding past archives on yourcreativejourneypodcast.com. Paul, anything special that's coming up on Vaudacity Network? We got to give a big shout over there.
Before I even think about that, since you didn't prep me for it, I will say, as this big announcement comes out, it's a bittersweet thing, but like so many things, when something closes, something beautiful is going to begin. Kevin's not talking about it yet, but he's starting something else that's going to be super cool that you need to check out, and I'm very excited to enjoy and consume and digest myself. But also, when you think about it, and it's just like going back to school, or going back to, just like Joey did. There's always a chance that we'll be together again in a different capacity, but making great work. And this, if anybody remembers, was supposed to be a 5-episode series, and
that's right.
We're going to end on episode 60, so that's a pretty.
It might end up being 59. I think that's 59. What we're going to get to. It's either that 59 or 60. Well, we did have a bonus episode. We're either in that range. We're either 59 episodes or it'll be like the 60th, whatever it'll be. So it was like that. It was supposed to be like 5 or 6. Yeah. So we just about got to 60. So that ain't too bad.
Overachievers. That's what's happening.
That's really what it is. Or we just don't know when to shut up. That's the
that's the thing.
I think that's the bigger thing more than anything else.
We got weekly programming every week on the Vaudacity Network, where this show was born before it migrated over here. But yeah, the big thing is Saturday night we have another Polly's Online Variety Show, number 92.
Unbelievable.
improv comedy, live music. It's going to be a blasty blast live on Saturday night.
Very, very cool. Don't worry, guys. The fun isn't going all the way away. There's always going to be plenty of stuff over at vaudacitynetwork.com. And as Paul said, when we get to our final live broadcast, it's going to I think it's Tuesday, February 1st. I'm not looking at a calendar right in front of me, but there'll be an announcement about some stuff that's coming up in the future and some different directions that are coming. Anyway, regardless, we're always incredibly grateful for all of you being here. Thank you to all of the people that were listening here on the on YouTube. And Charity, don't worry. There'll be another version of this stuff. Charity, Craig, Angelica, Amanda. Who else was on? Who else was there?
I just said Steve Erdeman. Thank you.
Steve Erdeman. Thank you, Steve Erdeman, for doing all of the incredible stuff that you do for our show, audio wise. I've got to say this too. I don't want to pass out with Craig. I just saw Craig's comments here. As an actor, I think an actor should do at least one show as a stage manager or assistant stage manager so they understand the whole process. Craig, no truer words were said, brother.
100%.
Joey totally gets that. Anyway, to all of our good folks being here, Steve Erdeman, thank you for all the audio engineering you've done. You're awesome, brother. Peace to all of you guys. We're going to say good night on the live stream. God bless you all and have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk to you later.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I'm going to end that right there.